your host, Mina Hernandez, and with me is parent education expert Eileen Radin. Welcome to another segment of the Now and Future Parent. Eileen?
Thanks, Mina. In this series, we'll look at some of the primary issues parents face in raising their children. Parenting is a skill, and like all skills, it is acquired and can be developed and improved. The children on our program are 5-year-olds, but as we know, many ideas that apply to young children are applicable to children of any age. The subject of today's program is social development and the skills children need to learn in order to adapt to the expectations of society. Mina?
Thank you. Let's look at a situation in which a parent has an opportunity to influence a child's social development.
Excuse us.
Why she like that?
Amani, don't point at her.
She look funny.
Amani, you're being rude. Don't point. Now, how would you like it if other kids were pointing and talking about you?
What's wrong with her?
There's nothing wrong. She's just sick. She'll probably get better in a few weeks.
Will I get sick like that?
Yes, you will get sick if you keep asking so many questions. No, I'm just kidding. Look, you won't get sick. Look, just go and play, okay?
Amani encounters a disabled child. Russell tries to keep Amani from being rude, but becomes frustrated. Consider these questions. How did Russell's actions affect Amani? How did Amani feel? What would you have done in this situation if it were your child? How did Russell's actions affect Amani? Anybody?
Well, I think Russell did the right thing. He taught Amani not to be rude and point at a disabled person.
That seems like a logical response to this kind of situation.
It's logical, but it's insensitive. I mean, he told Amani that the proper response to a person with a disability is to ignore them, and he did it in a way that threatened Amani. Now, with a child that age, I don't think that I would make a joke about getting sick if I asked too many questions.
Look,
Russell?
all I was trying to do was teach Amani some good manners, okay? Now, he was pointing, he was staring at that little girl in the wheelchair. He was making her feel self-conscious.
Yeah, Russell, but it's a 5-year-old that you're dealing with. I mean, I just don't think that a 5-year-old has the capacity to understand an adult joke or that kind of philosophy.
Good point. Good point. Very good.
Well, I agree that Russell's attempt to teach Amani good manners is sensible, but I think he missed a good opportunity to teach him something much more valuable.
What's that?
Well, a kid Amani's age is probably not very familiar with handicapped people, and he might be curious or maybe even a little afraid. And Russell could have taken this as a great opportunity to teach Amani not to be afraid and not to be judgmental just based upon someone's appearance.
Good point. This brings up a good point.
Well, I think that besides teaching him some manners, you could have taken the time to show him how not to look at a disabled person as a lesser person, but rather show him how to be more respectful towards that person as an individual.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Russell about teaching him a lesson and all that, but, you know, Russell, you have to understand, and all the parents here have to understand, too, that this is not just some child's innocent curiosity that was going on between them and these kids here, you know?
Eileen?
Well, children might have a need to ask questions and express their feelings about a person with a disability. They may be fearful that the disability is contagious or that somehow it will happen to them too.
So what might have been a better response in a situation like this?
Children need to be taught how to interact with others who are different, whether it's race or religion or physical disability, and they need to be taught how to interact with respect and acceptance. In order to minimize Amani's discomfort, Russell could have introduced the children and then suggest something they could do together.
So this was an opportunity to teach a child how to interact with an individual with a difference, who is different from himself.
That's right.
I believe that children need to get the appropriate information about the differences between them and other people, but they need to understand, too, that just as many differences as there are a lot of similarities between them.
That's true. And in this case, Russell could explain to Amani what the girl's disability is and reassure him about his own health, and then help Amani see what the children have in common.
What about the child in question? What if it was your child who had some obvious difference from everybody else?
Look, if it's your kid who's different, I think you should teach him to be proud, stand up for himself, you know, and not take any bull from anybody, you know?
Well, I agree with you, but I mean, you have to be careful not to teach a kid to have some kind of superiority complex on the other hand.
Eileen?
Yes, children should be encouraged to have self-respect and to take pride in themselves, no matter who they are.
In other words, we should help kids to develop a positive self-esteem.
That is correct.
But how can you do that specifically for disabled kids so that they can feel good about themselves?
Children who have a disability need to have role models, and they need to see themselves in television, movies, magazines, books, even toys. And they need to feel accepted, and they need to have an environment that encourages and respects their autonomy and help them find a way to function in the world.
Thanks, Eileen. Very good. Thank you so much. Now let's review what we've talked about.
Which of the following choices would be appropriate for Russell? Think about how these choices would help Amani's social development. A. Russell could bring Amani over to meet the child, showing both children how they could be friends. B. Russell could ignore Amani's questions and teach him not to be rude by pointing. C. Russell could explain to Amani what the disability really is, how it won't affect him, and how the disabled person is like other children in many ways. A and C are appropriate choices Russell could have made. You may have additional good ideas as well. B is not the best choice. Russell is not teaching Amani how to interact with the disabled child in a positive way, nor is he responding appropriately to Amani's fears. Let's summarize some of the key ideas from this section. Number 1, don't ignore your children's questions. Explain differences and similarities in people in accurate and appropriate terms. Number 2, teach children to take pride in their own identity without feeling superior to others, but equal to them. Number 3, teach children to interact with others with acceptance and respect.
Russell, shall we revisit the scene and apply what we've just learned?
Sure. Let's do it.
Why she like that?
Amani, don't point.
She look funny.
Well, Amani, look, now when you do that, you're being rude. Now, how would you like it if other kids were pointing and talking about you?
What's wrong with her?
Well, she just can't walk, but there's really nothing wrong.
Why?
Well, I don't really know exactly why. It could be that she had an accident, or maybe she was born that way. But you know what? I bet that if we went over there and talked with her, we'd probably find out that she wants to play.
If I play with her, will that happen to me?
Oh, no, absolutely not. You can't get it like it's a cold. Let's just go over and talk with her, okay? And you'll find out that she's just normal, just like you. Okay? Come on.
Russell, how did you feel after this last scene?
Well, it felt really good to show both kids how similar they really were. And in fact, they were able to relate to each other very easily.
Now, let's watch a scene in which a child's understanding of respect for truth-telling, possessions, and the concept of stealing is just emerging.
No, I'm playing. You get to play the other toy. How come I can't play with it? Because it's mine. I just want to see it for a second. I'm going to tell your mother.
All right, we're going to find the page.
But this is the poem you were talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Right here.
No, it's mine. I want to play with it. I want to play with it. No. Come on, Alicia.
Max?
What are you two girls arguing about?
I played store and she tried to take it away from me. I was playing it first. You're lying.
Alicia, when we have guests, you let them play with your toys. It's rude not to.
Max, don't lie to me. You're Alicia's guest, and if she doesn't want you to play with a toy, she doesn't have to. Look, there are many other toys you can play with. Well, I think playtime is over for now. Let's go. Come on.
Come on.
Wait, I forgot my jacket.
Sharon, thanks for coming. I will call you tomorrow about that parent conference next week.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. It was so nice to get out of the house today.
Yeah, I understand.
Give me a hand.
That's mine.
Max, what is this shell doing in your pocket?
I don't know.
You're a liar. You were trying to steal this, weren't you?
No.
You're a thief. Apologize to Alicia.
I'm sorry, Alicia. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Clarence. Max and I are gonna have a little talk when we get home.
Oh, I'm sure it was just probably a mistake.
That was no mistake. You little thief. Wait till we get home. Come on.
Max wanted to play with Alicia's toy, but Alicia didn't want to share it. After their struggle, Max told a lie and tried to take the shell. Consequently, Max's mother became very angry and scolded Max publicly. Let's take a moment and consider the following questions. How did Sharon's reactions affect Max's behavior? What would you have done in this situation if either child were yours? How did Sharon's reactions affect Max and her behavior? Anybody?
Well, I gotta tell you, I don't think that Sharon's reaction was completely inappropriate. Max got caught in a lie, right? She tried to steal, and I think that's enough to make any normal parent angry. I know that I certainly would be.
Anybody agree or disagree?
Well, I gotta disagree with you here. I think Sharon completely overreacted.
So, do you think there was anything wrong with Max's behavior, Eileen?
Well, we're talking about social development. Max still needs time to understand the concepts of respecting private property and the value of telling the truth. We often see this in young children as they struggle to learn the rules of society.
I don't know about you, Clarence, but it was an extremely difficult situation for me.
No, don't worry about it. I mean, to be honest with you, that shell was just a little thing, and Sharon, I think you overreacted just a little bit.
Well, embarrassed or not, I think, Sharon, the best thing you could have done is to calmly explain to her what it means to respect another person's property.
I agree with him. It's not going to help by calling the kid a liar or a thief. That just makes the problem even worse.
Right. The larger issue is the socialization of the child. Eileen, what should a parent do in a situation like we've just seen?
Well, the parent could acknowledge the child's desire for the toy, although the child must feel responsible for her own behavior. Max was required to return the toy with an apology, but then Sharon could have explained to Max how other people feel when their things are taken away, and then ask Max to describe how she would feel if someone took her toy.
Great advice.
I think as parents, we teach by example, and if we demonstrate, you know, respect and truth and other people's property, well, I think our children are more likely to do the same, right?
And also, when the child gets older, he'll learn the meaning of ownership and know that stealing is not right.
Well, that sounds right. Eileen, what do you think?
Oh, yes. On the positive side, Sharon was conscientious about teaching Max right from wrong and letting her know she could not get away with her misbehavior. But we need to remember that calling a child names can be harmful. When we put labels on children, they may think of themselves in those terms and then behave according to their self-concept.
Well, given this knowledge, I think a little pre-planning next time might be in order. We know that children can be possessive, and yet we need to teach them to respect and to share. So wouldn't it be a good idea if the child was to bring his own toy next time?
Sounds like a good idea. What do you think, Eileen?
Oh, that's a very good idea. Another idea would be to put away the toys the child does not want to share and then ask her to select some other toys that she would be willing to share instead.
Thanks, Eileen. Thank you very much. Okay, let's start our review.
Which of the following choices would be most appropriate for Sharon and Clarence? Think about why these choices would help Max learn about respecting other people's possessions and help Alicia learn to share. A. Sharon could punish Max to teach her a lesson. B. Clarence could plan ahead and help Alicia decide which toys to share. C. Sharon could react calmly to her child's misbehavior and explain to Max that lying and stealing are wrong and help her return the toy. B and C are appropriate choices Clarence and Sharon could have made. You may have additional good ideas as well. A is not the best choice because Max will only feel bad about herself and not learn what she should do instead. Let's summarize some of the key ideas from this section. Number 1, encourage your child to share by planning ahead which toys her friends will be able to play with. Number 2, tell children what they did wrong without labeling them as liar and thief. Calling names only hurts their self-image and does not teach them what to do. Number 3, teach your child to be responsible for his or her behavior. Help your child tell the truth and respect other people's possessions.
Clarence and Sharon, would you like to revisit the scene and apply what we've just learned?
Yeah, okay.
Yes, definitely.
Good.
Max is going to be here any minute. Are you going to share all your toys?
No.
Well, let's pick the ones you're going to play with.
Okay.
This one. And this one. That's it?
Mm-hmm.
You left your new shell. Are you going to share your shell?
Maybe.
All right. This is the plum.
Yeah, it's right here. Let me show you right here.
How come I can't play with it? Because it's mine. I just want to see it for a second. I'm going to tell your mother.
She's going to like that.
Oh, she's gonna love it.
I want to play with it. I want to play with it. No. I'm not going to hurt it. Come on, Alicia.
Max?
Hey, what are you two girls arguing about?
I played with it, and she tried to take it away from me. I was playing with it first. You're lying.
Alicia, remember, we decided which toys we put away and which toys we keep out, and you decided to keep out the shell.
I know, I forgot.
Max, were you playing with the toy first?
No.
Shouldn't you apologize to Alicia?
I'm sorry, Alicia. It's okay.
Well, I think playtime is over for now.
Let's go.
Let's go. Come on. Come on.
Wait, I forgot my jacket.
Sharon, thanks for coming. I will call you tomorrow about that parent conference next week.
Great. Thanks for having us. It was just so nice to get away from the house, huh? Come on.
That's mine.
Max, what is that shell doing in your pocket?
I don't know.
This doesn't belong to you, does it?
No.
I know you wish you had this toy for yourself, but this belongs to Alicia. How would you feel if somebody else took this toy so you couldn't play with it?
I'd feel bad.
Well, that's how Alicia would feel. Now return this shell to Alicia and apologize.
I'm sorry, Alicia. Thank you.
I'll call you later.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Okay, say goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Okay.
Let's go.
How did you feel?
Well, I learned to plan ahead for Alicia's playtime so that the girls don't fight over toys.
I learned that I could teach my daughter to be truthful and to respect other people's properties without threats and name-calling.
Let's summarize the ideas covered in this program.
Number 1, answer questions in accurate and appropriate terms. Number 2, teach children to take pride in their own identity. Number 3, teach children to interact with everyone with acceptance and respect. Number 4, encourage sharing by planning ahead. Number 5, teach your child to be responsible for his or her behavior. Number 6, avoid name-calling. These 6 points can help you deal with the specific areas in the social development of your child. Try to keep these points in mind when you teach your child respect for other people, for their possessions, and for truthfulness. An excellent way to implement what we've learned is to keep a daily journal. Write down how you help your child befriend others who are different from him and how your child reacts to them. Also, write down how you encourage your child to share and show respect for others' property, as well as for telling the truth.
Thanks, Eileen. We hope that watching these videos will help you with your own children. We look forward to seeing you again in our next episode of The Now and Future Parent. Bye-bye.